welcome to Social Business. I'm Brooke Corty.
And I'm Peter Shergold, the CEO of the Centre for Social Impact.
And coming up on today's program, how the RSPCA is helping both consumers and Australian farmers. We'll hear from the CEO, Heather O'Neill, shortly. And plus, we'll chat with Opportunity International on a controversial topic, India's microfinance sector. But first to some news from the sector. In the area of environmental sustainability, the big news in Sydney was that Australia's second largest rooftop solar power system was switched on. It's not for home or even for industry, but to provide green power to the Wharf Theatre. It's part of the artistic drive by the artistic directors Kate Blanchett and Andrew Upton for the arts to have a wider role in spreading new and innovative ideas. Now, meanwhile, Peter, we've had the Australian Sustainability Awards too.
We have. This was the 10th time. The winner this year was CSL. They're the old Commonwealth Serum Laboratories, but now they make a range of vaccines and drugs, all sorts of medical products. And because it was the 10th anniversary, they also chose a Sustainability Company of the Decade, and that was Lend-Lease, in part because of the innovative work they've done in terms of designs of communities, but also the lead they've taken in terms of employee volunteering.
And on that note, actually, the National Survey of Volunteering Issues has also been released since our last program.
It has, and it's really interesting. It's a survey of about 1,300 volunteers, so it's a good sample. What's interesting is that you can see that volunteering is powerful in terms of social inclusion, that more than 83% of those surveyed said that they got a sense of belonging from the fact that they volunteered. Interestingly, 80% found that they could learn from their volunteering, and it's clear that I reckon about a quarter of the people who are doing volunteering are actually getting skills that they can use then in the paid labour market. About 18 to 25% are saying they're learning skills, getting qualifications that will actually help them get into paid employment.
Which is positive, except there were some problems. Of course, there's always problems. It's much more complex than that as well.
It is. What you pick out from this survey is there's often a tension between the paid staff and the volunteers working for organisations. Who has what roles and how are they reacting? And often there's not sufficient performance management. The performance management that's given to the paid employees is not sometimes given in the same way to those who are volunteers.
There was also an initiative launched by Gail Kelly this month, and that was Westpac's organisational mentoring program. Tell us a bit about that one.
Well, that's a very interesting one because I think Westpac see it as a win-win-win situation. That is to say, they are providing skilled mentors and coaches to not-for-profit organisations in terms of organisational capacity and management and leadership. The organisation gets a much more committed staff, and the staff who are committing learn skills. In fact, one of the neat things about this Westpac initiative is they actually train the people who are going to be mentors and coaches to the community organisations. So the Westpac staff themselves are gaining real skills in organisational capacity and negotiation and so on. A lot of the soft emotional intelligence skills, I guess.
Peter, this month also there was the launch of the Social Procurement National Report, and this builds on some of the guidelines in Victoria which, back in October. Give us the update here and tell us a bit more about what it's
in fact, I've just been to the launch of the Social Procurement Report in Sydney this morning. Social procurement is a really interesting new area. You know, in companies and governments, they procure. They don't look for the cheapest, but they look for value for money. Unfortunately, often they define value in very narrow ways. And what this is essentially saying is when you are procuring, when you are tendering out to get services, look for organisations that also give you a social return, so that organisations, for example, that are employing long-term unemployed or Indigenous people or people with a disability, and then you get, in fact, a greater value for money in the way you tender out what you want to do.